and welcome to the AEW Dynamite review. We are the Dudley Boys of What Culture. I'm Adam Wilbourn, joined by Michael Hamflett and Michael Sidgwick, here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of AEW Dynamite. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to What Culture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. We do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review AEW Dynamite, but also AEW Collision, Raw, SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. Pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a round of the week complete. The Bloody Good Quiz, of course, on Wrestle Culture. As I said, though, joined by Hamflett and Sidgwick to review last night's Dynamite, the go-home show ahead of AEW Revolution.
I had a really good time with this. I'm very, very excited about the pay-per-view, more so than I was this time yesterday. Ergo, mission accomplished. Now, good. The venue. Oh my God. Looked absolutely beautiful. Continues to be the best possible move. Has considerably elevated the vibe, the atmosphere, the good sentiment. I stop short of using the word feeling because of the connotations it has with AEW, but the sentiment, the atmosphere, all very good. Not a flawless show. I'm sure I'll have some little pedantic nitpicks as this podcast unfolds, but I'm in a good place with AEW, and there was just certain little moments where I'm like, that is deep in my investment in the pay. What more do you want? And there's certain times when it wasn't trending in the best direction, and it just got back on the tracks, which we'll get to imminently, actually.
We did sort of call it, as you were saying earlier on yesterday, in terms of what they added to the show after our preview. Yeah, not quite got the matches that we put on, but still.
Yeah, it's easy to arrive at them, isn't it? Or similar ones. Yeah, I'm 2025 Dynamite enjoyer. That's just what I am. Like, kind of shares it. Very nice dadlies over the desks this morning where I went, I love that, Sidge. And you went, I liked it, Hamflett. Whoa. It's made me reflect on it, being like, maybe I did just like it rather than love it. But then that's been so consistent, the case with AEW in 2025. Everything, like, I'm not just putting us over. Everyone was saying for a good year and a half when they were having to see through the rest of those venue contracts, of which it was clearly an admin thing, that the sooner they get out of these big arenas, the better. That has proven correct instantly.
Yes.
The vibe is better every single week, even in the quieter ones. This wasn't one of the quiet ones, but it's always better. I dare say that this one was so lovely to look at, they could have gotten away with the Daily's Place configuration for me like the other week with the, I know it's not for everyone, but the staring down the entrance thing. If you make it a little wider like some of the Ring of Honor ones.
I wouldn't have changed a thing.
Beauty.
I could see enough of it.
You could. I'm having such a good time with these Dynamites. I like being back in the world of AEW.
Yeah, I like being back in the world of AEW. I love these venue changes. I'm going to piss on everybody's chips. You ready for this? Are you ready for some piss?
Catchphrase, I've Mr. Chips. We've got Mr. Piss.
The reason why, I've been burned before, and it was around about this time I got burned. I will not say feeling is back. I'm actually in the process of writing for whatculture.com/WWE 30 best matches in AEW history, right? And I know, like, seminal, ridiculous, all-time great wrestling matches. You're not going to get that on a go-home Dynamite. I'm not comparing the two. But what I'm about to say is, spoiler alert, one of the entries on the list is Best Friends versus Santana and Ortiz. And Sue giving the heels the finger. That's the feeling. Right, okay. I don't think that feeling is there yet, where I'm just wowed by what I'm seeing, and there's just this little deft brushstroke. Like, you didn't have to do that, but it's amazing that you did. And this time last year, they were building towards Sting's retirement match. He was rappelling from the ceiling on the go-home show before Revolution. He'd done that interview, remember, when his dad had passed away, and it was really sort of like, don't mess with my family after this has happened. It was like, Sting is sad and Sting is terrifying. And they'd done the angle where the Young Bucks, who had worn white suits for weeks, bloodied Sting and Darby and the kids. And then they followed it all up with, we've got Okada and Mercedes Money and Ospreay. And it just felt, all right, we're back then. We are back. And then we were not back. 2024 was a pretty bad year. Like, unbelievable highs, but a pretty bad year in terms of the critical reception and the general way in which just AEW was received.
It wasn't momentum, was it? You thought it was.
Oh, you thought? I thought they were back.
It wasn't momentum, was it? Yeah,
I thought they were back.
Didn't.
There was creative flair, the signings. Like, was it Grapple, where they described it as like your club's best transfer window?
Yeah,
where they had like, oh Christ, we've just bought Okada, Mercedes, and Ospreay in the same
Like an
transfer
optics
window.
victory over a booming WWE, wasn't it? And you think,
Yeah.
this wasn't expected.
And that's why I said, Tony Khan, pronoun boy, said 2024 is a new 2021. He signed 3 unbelievable wrestlers, much like he did in August, September 2021. This was all happening. These conversations of, might we be back? Or how good is it to be an AEW fan right now? They were all happening at this exact juncture last year. So I'm just sending you a little pessimistic warning. Don't necessarily fall for it. Accept no bullshit if it comes your way in the next few weeks. Hold them to account. They are capable of greatness. We are getting there. It'll take a few more months for me to think I'm really reassured that this is all good.
I think as well, though, it's the highs aren't as high at the moment. There's just more of them. And I think that's always the better way to go. Like we've talked about for years on this podcast, because we're fortunate enough to have done this long enough for multiple bookers to have had multiple runs about how those things are cycles. And it's rare that you get one, let alone two. And Tony Khan is chasing that elusive second that most promoters have never even got close to. When it does happen, a lot of the things you can learn from history, a lot of things have this funny way in wrestling. There's a lot of happenstance and the rest of it, how there's little moments that sort of repeat themselves. And that's probably what Tony Khan could sense when he hired 3 more people. It's happening again, and it's happening right now. And he was wrong. But there were electrifying highs last year. And you mentioned the Stings one made me think about this. I'm loving MJF Hangman Page. Loving it at the moment. I've wished there was something WrestleMania flavoured up until probably this weekend that made me feel like Page and MJF has done. And yet, I wouldn't say that's probably on a high as the Sting Young Bucks stuff was last year. But across the card, like Swerve and Ricochet is smoking most of last year's undercard. And like at the absolute death, they finally got something right about Cope versus the Death Riders. And the women's division is in, broadly speaking, in better health. And there's like lots of like green shoots up and down this card. And I think last year you were still relying a little bit on those big signings or that one monumental thing because there was a lot of work needed doing underneath.
Yeah.
I just think like it's a far healthier product end to end now.
Yeah.
Well, we start this show not in the arena, but on the streets of Sacramento with MJF. Hangman did nothing wrong, he asks. No, he disagrees with that, of course. He says Hangman Page decided to poke at the devil. He's basically to blame for what happened to Christopher Daniels. MJF talks about playing with his food, but wanting to take a big bite out of him because of what Page has made him do effectively. MJF's going to prove a point to Page's shitty little Mark fan club. And he's in the streets of Sacramento. If you want to find me,
Good stuff.
I'm not hard to find. You want to talk about buckshots? I've got a bullet with your name on it. He says, he yells Hangman Page down the lens and then says, you want to shoot, cowboy? Well, saddle up, motherfucker. Let's ride. Yeah.
Top stuff.
So he's in the zone. He is in the zone.
Loved it.
I'm just going to talk about this when we get to the other segments.
Yes. Yeah, there's a crime watch again, but a very enjoyable segment nonetheless.
Yeah, an attempted crime.
Yes.
Crime watch.
2 technically, I suppose, vehicular manslaughter if you include that. And
No, he's just trying to scare him.
That's
Okay.
it. Attempted murder isn't the crime. Oh.
so we
Listen, I liked it. I liked it.
We'll get to it.
I liked it.
I'm talking myself into liking it. But we'll get there. Don't worry.
We're
love
going to
that.
get there, guys.
I love that poster. I was sent you, didn't I? The poster they had with, like, it's Hangman Page, but there's the picture of MJF in his head, basically.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, a thumbnail for the preview yesterday.
Yes, of course. Right, we got the contract signing next.
Thank you, AEW.
Thank you very much, AEW.
You're welcome, AEW. Swerve and Ricochet's contract signing. Prince Nana's out there with Swerve. And out comes Ricochet to the usual reaction. He's in a Philadelphia Eagles hat. He's not wearing the embassy robe, though. He says it's in good hands, though, and there's going to be some modifications ahead of Sunday. What's he doing?
What's he doing to that?
I know.
Just like putting some ugly ass giant, like spiky R on it or something.
Made it
from
into a
his
cape.
Ricochet logo. Yeah.
Or like just in jewels. On the back.
Like cry laughing emoji.
Yeah.
It lights
God.
up the aha when you press a button.
Aye. Like, I can come out,
Really garish.
turn his back to the audience, press the button.
Oh, don't say that because like Jericho will be like, I knew the guy that altered it for you. I'm in the story now.
Yeah.
So they sit down.
I think he is receding in influence.
Yeah,
Jericho.
Thankfully, yeah.
it's contract year, isn't it? You made a bold prediction ski on one of our videos.
I did, yeah, I did. I think Triple H will not be able to resist the temptation of making Chris Jericho be a bit more like Chris Jericho again, just to...
And a Bron Breakker and Jacob Fatu victim. He would be rubbing his hands together.
Yeah.
We need to put over him. You're a great guy. B+ player, Chris.
Yeah.
What is it, Chris? He'd love that, wouldn't he?
You would,
Remember when you lost to Fandango?
Imagine coming on this far like 6 months later. Well, Chris Jericho was brilliant again, and then he cuts in. Yeah, Matt Hardy too.
Yeah.
Everything's fine in the Fed. Jesus Christ.
that'd be great.
Nana had to be held back, by the way, when Ricochet revealed that there was going to be some changes made to that robe. And Ricochet tells Swerve to get his grandpa. Funny. Ricochet says, these things don't usually go very well for you, do they, Swerve? But you should feel better now I'm here, obviously, because I can't burn your house down. You're lucky I'm even giving you a rematch, says Ricochet. You stuck your nose into my business. You tried to bully me, but in the face of it all, I still beat you. During all this, by the way, and following it as well. Swerve's just like, sign the contract. Just sign the contract. Let's get this done. Sign the contract. Ricochet says he's one step closer to achieving his goal of winning the World Championship, and he's going to be focused on Mox and Cope on Sunday. That's where he wants to be. He's a step away from becoming the AEW World Champion, and he signs the contract. And that is when Swerve just snaps. He calls Ricochet a self-righteous little prick. Says he's going to expose him for the coward that he is on Sunday. You stole the embassy robe, you stabbed me in the face, but the biggest mistake you made was leaving me breathing. You've awoken the most dangerous man in AEW. I'm going to put you in the ground. The only thing Ricochet is going to be remembered for after this is me briefly reviving your career and your hot ring announcer wife. Ooh.
Did he say hot?
No, I just thought of that from...
the Cody Rhodes promo.
Yeah. Where's your hot wife?
Hey, where's your hot-ass wife? Good stuff.
Obviously, this riles up Ricochet, but and Swerve signs the contract. Ricochet tries to do his thing, stabbing him with scissors, but Swerve grabs his arm this time and stabs him with his own pair of scissors and stands over him, walks to the back with Nana as Ricochet's left bleeding and writhing around all over the place.
This was weird. This was so close to being awful. And then, this is awesome. Can't wait to see this match. And I think it's very, it's just as well that they each had a great individual showing and they did such a great teaser of their upcoming match in the main event of this show, because this was trending in a pretty bad direction. Swerve was all over the place on the mic, not for the first time. Like, I love Swerve Strickland, but I think he's come out on Twitter as well. He said that very first promo where he said to Hangman Page, I want that spot that you don't even want. Even he said, not very good, not the best. Like, he sometimes has composure issues on the microphone. There were certain times and I'm like, come on, get in control. You're meant to be this calculated, like, ultimate badass cool figure. The more you stumble, it's like the charisma disintegrates and the aura starts to. You don't want to pity any pro wrestler. No. That's the absolute last emotion. But that one in particular. But then he just about got it over the edge with those two kill shot, no pun intended, lines, which I said on the preview yesterday, you'd have one or two very cool soundbitey things to say that would get a pop, enormous pop. And then I've always said as well, Swerve Strickland, one of the reasons why he's just so over and why he's so great is that very few people get the theater of being a badass like him. And that's what wrestling is, a theatrical way of playing the badass. Just that sixth sense of, I was going to get me with the scissors here. Nope, hold your arm, just cool as a cucumber, not even moving, like locked eyes with Ricochet, getting his own scissors out, bonk, on the forehead. Ricochet's bump is very funny and very good. But, like, I was just shocked by the 0 to 60 of, I'm into it. Oh, thank God. That was not going particularly well, and then they've got there in the end. It's like, you ever fell down the stairs, took 2 steps by accident, and went,
life flashed before your eyes, man.
Yeah, like, oh, Christ. It was like Swerve Strickland did that. Went, oh, gritty. Yeah. It's like, how did he style this? Yeah. It was good stuff, good recovery.
I think a problem sometimes with Swerve's character is it a problem? I don't know. It's part of what's got him over, I guess. Like, some of the material he has to work with is too stupid for its own good. And his test is always like, get this over. He just talks about, like, murdering people. Actually, we joke about crimes and stuff, but, like, he does speak. He goes right to the end. It's not just, I'm going to beat you in the ring, I'm going to do this move to you, or I'm injure you even. It's about as far as you can push it in a wrestling promo. No, I'll kill you, mate. Like, who are you messing with? This doesn't have to be a wrestling match. That I will kill you.
Yeah.
And you can't really do that. You can't say that.
You can if you're him.
But he does it.
Yeah.
And I think often as a result, he is given that material and it works. And as a result, you can kind of do it every time. And it's like his, right, there's the line that everybody can go to. His is like all the way over there. But then in wrestling, because everybody's just typically there, it sometimes sounds a bit weird and fake when somebody's gone all the way here. Like, I am cutting Phyllis's head off with a chainsaw. That's how Andy Bernard ruins that gag in The Office. Swerve's allowed to go there every time.
Yeah.
But it's hard to make that credible every time. And yet he typically finds a way. I think I said this on a podcast a few weeks ago, and I was reminded of it on this episode of Dynamite, not just in this segment. As everyone listening and watching will know, Roman Reigns in WWE is the tree. Swerve and Hangman's the tree. And I think that is so crucial to AEW finding its way back. Swerve and Hangman is the tree. Like, and they went a while without a tree. And a well competently booked wrestling company, top down or roots up, I guess, needs a tree. And it is that. The fact that this fire will always be a part of the law between these two men, and how any other wrestler can use that when feuding with those two men, even if theoretically they're not together, but we are reminded that they always are bonded by that in as much as it was pulling them apart. And what triggered the fire? Well, it was the fact that you went into his house first. Like, that story from when it kicked off with nothing but a match has become the tree. And like, it's going to be so effective for AEW in the months and potentially years, because that's what tree does to wrestling, as we've learned with the Roman Reigns. Like, it's honestly, I think AEW for the longest time went without one, and I just keep being reminded that is helping so many other wrestlers and so many other motivations and subplots and all of that. It's exciting to watch, because at long last, a bunch of wrestlers have a bunch of different things to bounce off of.
Yeah, if you're going to do something so heightened as burn a guy's house down and do it in a pro wrestling angle, I'm so glad they've treated it with the reverence and the gravity.
Never goes away, does it?
And importance. Like, it's so miles better than John Moxley's weekly crime spree. You know, there are significant repercussions to that angle. And I'm with you. I think it's a great device that they can go back to time and time again. Big fan. One more thing on this from me anyway. Big fan, obviously, of Ricochet's new direction. A total revelation. Not his best night. Not his best night on the mic. I thought he was a little bit too... As I said, I want him to be a bit stiff, because the idea is I want him to think he's a star rather than him actually being a star, because he's not a big charismatic superstar. A little bit too stiff, though, last night.
A couple of things made me chuckle in this. There was obviously him saying, "Come and get your grandpa," and things like that, but also the line about Samantha Irvin not only made me think of the Cody Rhodes thing, it also made me think of Swerve going, "I've got a way to get to Ricochet. I'm going to bang Ricochet's wife." Like, It's Always Sunny thing, which made me laugh. And the other thing was, well, love, it's been a good run, but afraid we're going to have to pack up shop. I've spent all the money that we've made on selling fresh tomatoes to WWE or goo or whatever. I just bought loads of pairs of scissors. I don't want to do it. Time to shut up the shop. Cling. Whose house? I'll take your best pair of scissors, please. Thank you very much.
They're not going away. I like the scissors kicking around, because that robe getting cut up is going to mean something.
Yes, and on a serious point, I did like the fact that in terms of this whole show, you were like, yes, finally Swerve's got that little twat and busting him open stuff. And who had the last laugh at the end of the show? Son of a bitch. We get a video package. AEW Revolution's going to be on Prime Video now, of course. And then we get the 8-man. It was Will Ospreay, Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, and Powerhouse Hobbs versus the Murder Machines, Brian Cage and Lance Archer, Mark Davis, and Brian Keith. Not a Jericho in sight. I did like the little bit of confusion with the whole... He's explained it a little bit with Mark Davis, but like Excalibur's like, well, not really a willing participant of the Don Callis family. Meanwhile, Mark Davis is walking down the ring like he was vibing with Don Callis. So maybe someone should tell him that. But more on that later. Don Callis made me really laugh as well when we came back from the break. Before we get there, though, Brian Cage is a freak. He curls Ospreay into a world's strongest slam. Ospreay flips out of a powerbomb, though, gets Briscoe in. There's some redneck kung fu from him. There's like a locomotion 10 corner punches from the babyface team. Just one from Orange Cassidy as well. And Cage fights back. Lariat, big jackhammer, hands it off to Archer for a swinging bossman slam as we go to a break. When we come back, Don Callis jumps off commentary, like your dickhead, to Orange Cassidy on the outside.
It's like a new bit of his. He loves it.
It's great. They take turns passing Orange Cassidy around in a vertical suplex position, do Cage, Archer, and Davis. But Cassidy fights back, hits a stun dog on Davis, brings in Powerhouse Hobbs, who comes in and just wrecks everyone, runs over Davis, gets into it with Cage and Archer, double clothesline to them. There's an exploder in there. He also grabs his teammates and just chucks them at Davis as well. There's dives from Ospreay and Briscoe on the outside, and Hobbs has Cassidy on his shoulders for a splash onto Davis, but Brian Keith dives in to break the count and then thinks, we've seen this before, then thinks he can go toe-to-toe with Powerhouse Hobbs. I love you, Brian Keith. You can't. But Davis reappears to help him. Powerbomb on Powerhouse Hobbs. Keith wants an exploder. Again, Powerhouse Hobbs doesn't move. Takes his head off with a lariat. There's a handspring corkscrew kick from Ospreay onto Cage. Cheeky Nando's on Keith for 2. But Davis clocks him from behind, but turns around into a Hobbs spinebuster. Cage hits a rock bottom. It's running wild here, all this. Cassidy comes in with a spinning DDT. Keith cuts off Cassidy in the ropes with an avalanche exploder and gets into it with Briscoe. Lance Archer brings a chair into the ring, chases the referee off, but runs into a punch by Briscoe. Springboard dive from him onto the Murder Machines. And then we get Ospreay taking out Keith with an Oscutter and a hidden blade to get the 1, 2, 3.
I think I had loads of fun with this. Probably inessential as something that existed to get Ospreay in the ring with extended members of the Callis family to then summon Cal Fletcher for the heat angle. This probably didn't need to go quite so long. And the tone, maybe a little bit bright for the whole serious cage matches happening. Careers are going to be altered forever. You know, that kind of classic cage match build. I think maybe elements of this specific match in the context of what it was building, maybe a little bit too flippant, fun. But I had so much fun that I'm going to forgive it. I thought as a party match, the order and the execution is going to be great. I want to put over Mark Briscoe in particular. There was a point when it starts breaking down and you get the bang, bang. Oh, that babyface is doing something cool. That babyface is doing something cool. Mark Briscoe's sent onto the outside of the ring. He just nails it. He knows exactly when to do it. He's absolutely great. But I love the order of, Ospreay is going to set the tone with his exciting work. Cassidy's going to come and join in. He's getting his ass kicked. He's getting his ass kicked. He's getting his ass kicked. Jesus Christ, he's getting his ass kicked. And then, here comes the guy who can most kick ass in revenge. It's Powerhouse Hobbs. And then, who's the guy you want really to kick the most ass in a party match like this? Here comes Buddy Mark Briscoe. Just excellent order of sort of the sequencing of this match. I thought was really, really fun and really, really effective in getting the crowd to go, this guy's coming in. This guy's coming in. You do the post-match now? Or
I'll do that now. Yeah, then you can talk more about it.
Hamflett, what are your thoughts on this match?
I am more positive than you think, but with nothing to do with the body of the match at all. I currently, to my taste as a TV match, I think this is asking too much for everybody watching at home to care, because the booking of many of these characters is just not good enough at the moment. I think a company on fire puts an 8-man like this on where all of these characters are different flavours of over, and it's electrifying to watch on screen.
A miserable bastard.
Hang on, it gets good in the end. I'll use the Dallas 10-man as an example, right? That's kind of the go-to, right? But you can do multi-mans like this, and when everybody's over, you're watching at home and like this. I'd give anything to be in that building, right? I didn't get that watching this, but if I was in that building, I'd be having a whale of a time. This was matchmaking for the benefit of the paying customers that you've got in that building to make the show look fun to people that aren't there. And that's fundamentally good booking, because you are actually, people are going to leave this venue as something that I don't think AEW had anywhere near enough of in 2023 and 2024. Satisfied customers.
You've got to come back next time they're here.
This was, you were watching customer satisfaction happening, even if I'm sat watching at home being like what? So what? But the people in Sacramento or the people who are going to tell their friends, I'll come back this time. We saw him, and it was good fun. The match wasn't bad. Do you know what I mean? But
the execution of it was unreal at times.
Like, I just think for me, like, sometimes I struggle to match the energy if I'm not that arsed about the characters as a TV viewer, and I'm not asked about the majority of these at the moment, truthfully. And to Sidge's point, I was thinking the exact same thing, where it's a way to get Ospreay in the ring to feel like the big deal out of all of these. Yeah. And that doesn't hurt. He feels like a massive star compared to a lot of these guys that are on the back burner. But everybody in the building will just felt like Ospreay's stuff was the capper of like a really fun time they had seeing 8 guys. Like, really, really good booking for the building. And that's really important because you'd want people to be leaving talking about stuff like this.
His work on the outside was, this is hardly the best Will Ospreay match. It wasn't designed to be the best blowaway, great, epic Will Ospreay match. His work on the outside just underscored, like, it's probably him.
Yeah.
I mean, it's most assured to be the next babyface and the big world champion and the guy you build around. I'm
seeing so many Ospreay roadmaps, though. I'm excited for our Evolution preview. I feel like this Dynamite was like revealing so many little paths it could take with the results of that card.
But like the problem with that stacked roster is you always think, oh, maybe Swerve should get the title again, or like Hangman's the main character, and then you got Omega finally do the big babyface run that his champion he never had, and then Ospreay's there. And something about the way Ospreay can just very endearingly get that audience up. If you watched him on the outside and on the ropes and stuff like that, like just click of the finger, gets people losing their mind. Like, I think Hangman's got probably more of an emotional connection with this fan base. In terms of the big babyface to build around, I need to see more out of Kenny in terms of, can he do this can he do the Gabe Kidd match at least once a month? Because I'm not entirely sure.
Ospreay's like a Cody when he's out there. He's begging for it, isn't he? He's begging for it.
He wants it. Like, those are the 3 where it's like Tony Khan has given himself that selection headache. And it might even change depending on who steals the show.
Yeah.
But I mean, Ospreay's just probably the guy, isn't he?
I think so.
But then Hangman?
Especially now Queen Aminata's got a better knee than
Shut up,
Kenny
man.
Omega.
Shut up, man.
You see it on Collision. It was incredible. I loved that spot.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Took the red off. Oh.
Hangman versus Ospreay could low-key be the biggest match that they have.
I don't think Kenny's getting top babyface this year. I feel like I've seen the vision to All Out with Okada, and I don't see him
unify the belts there.
Yeah. I don't even think he ends up being the top babyface in his program over the summer before he even gets to Okada. I think he heals it up against Ospreay. I think that's what they're teasing out. I think it's him and Ospreay before you get to, and then it's just like you've seen Kenny Omega, like Omega Ospreay.
They're not healing him up before Okada.
I think they'll gently heal him up for the benefit of the Ospreay match, and then it's a handshake because it's a decider, and then you've got him baby faced with a belt to get to the Okada match. That's how I think
they've got options.
They've got options.
So they can't friggin' go with Christian Cage. God love him. God love him.
Is that an acceptance of Greg's or quits?
Well, we'll wait until tomorrow for that.
What a tease.
It's good retention.
So post-match, the babyfaces all get taken out. There's Cassidy and Briscoe getting sent into the apron. Davis puts a sleeper on Ospreay. Hobbs gets choked bombed by Cage and Archer into the steps. And Carl Fletcher's music hits and he walks down there and they're holding Ospreay in position. He punches him a bit. But Mark Davis is like, all right, mate, he's had enough. Carl Fletcher's like, don't tell me what to do. In fact, you hit him with this chair, and Mark Davis is a bit reluctant, but he eventually does nail Will Ospreay with a chair shot and walks out. But Carl Fletcher's not quite had enough. He hits a brainbuster onto the chair that's set up and poses over Will Ospreay ahead of Sunday.
Fletcher's demeanor continues to be like immaculate presentation. Like, he dresses like a doesn't he?
Yeah.
But that's good.
Yeah.
I want to think Carl Fletcher is a total. Is like those baggy pants and like the way he was like taking the top off, looked like a 90s boy band member douchebag.
His body's changed again, hasn't it?
It's better. It gets better.
Like, he
just walking weird.
He just keeps like
thinks he's dead sexy in there. Like, he's got every kind of like.
Did you see last week he had the corks on the string hanging off his sunglasses? That's amazing.
That's young Bucksy and that with the chandelier.
He had the chandelier in 2021. Yeah. Like, Fletcher continues to be this incredible heel. The thing about this post-match angle is that I didn't buy that. This is maybe the byproduct of how great and how exciting the Will Ospreay pay-per-view match is. I didn't necessarily buy it. It looked awesome. Of course it did. That the brainbuster on the chair would be like, oh, Christ, is he going to be 100% on Sunday? fairly certainly will be. It's Will Ospreay, you know. But even though it didn't really lead me to believe, oh Christ, Will Ospreay's in trouble, or Will Ospreay might carry an injury going into the match or whatever, it at least sent me the glimpse of, if they're going to do something like that on free TV to build to a cage match, what are they actually going to do in the cage itself? And I didn't need selling on this, but this last little bit was like, oh, they're going to go wild in that cage.
Yeah.
Wild. It's going to, like, what? We're going to preview it tomorrow. We are going to preview this tomorrow, wherever you get your podcast from, because I've got the best violent AEW matches terrify me, genuinely, and I'm a bit scared of this. So we'll go into why tomorrow.
Yeah. Hype for it.
We get a video package for Takeshita Omega, even at a Revolution. History together in DDT, of course, and Don Callis siding with them. Very excited for that one as well.
I'm talking about this, mate. I didn't know whether to be pissed off or jazzed with my stupid brain and how it works, because part of me wanted to go, this has considerably enhanced my investment in the pay-per-view, and as a technical achievement, as a video package, I thought it was excellent. I'll get into why. And at the same time, sorry, I'm doing it a lot, but where the was this in 2023? Surely Kenny's always remained on great terms with DDT. He has worked for them, I believe, since joining AEW. Obviously, I know he worked for them extensively in his sort of early years. So they could have, surely at any point, have went, how come I have that? Like, that image of Ospreay shaking Takeshita's hand, Omega shaking Takeshita. You see how skinny Takeshita? Yeah. He looked like a different human being, so nice, so humble, rail thin, and Omega's kind of got that smug look on his face. And that's probably the story of the match they're having at the time of this young kid. I'm going to kick his ass, but he's being humble and he's being nice to the wrestling god. The edit from tiny Takeshita to this monster that he is now made it look like, holy I'm sorry. Oh. He is caught up with Omega, and how he is grown 5 times in size. And look at his horrible, mean facial expressions. He's genuinely sold his soul to Don Callis. There's an actual emotional weight to this Omega Takeshita thing, and they haven't told you that story until the day before their third match, 18 months or so later. Very odd, but I really enjoyed this. I thought it was a technical achievement. This video package was tremendous. Hamflett will know. Hamflett knows this. He's a Fed fan. He knows this more than anyone. The best video packages can work you into thinking the story was better than the story was actually told. This is up there for me as one of the best.
20 years of it, brother.
Yeah.
20 years.
As of right now, you are managing The Rock.
Yeah, you know what I mean? So I thought this was really excellently done, but I was also a little bit cross that there's clearly an emotional texture to the story as opposed to just, the young gun who's young, dumb, and full of cum is like sort of chasing down Kenny Omega and might have caught up,
Yeah, I agree. This should have been used a long time ago.
They should have stressed this.
I agree, because the video package was awesome. I couldn't have thought of a better place to put it than here. Why I'm loving being back in the AEW world is because I'm fantasy booking all the time again, and that's one of my favorite things about watching wrestling. I thought the sequencing of all of this was really fascinating, because I thought this video in particular told you this great story at on a go-home show, ultimately, about the match that you're excited about anyway. It's a match that they even had to kind of fake the stakes of a tournament to make you think you weren't going to get it, and it was like, we know we're getting it, but I understand why you've even derailed it with a tournament just to put something in the middle of it. Kenny Omega has been back and around and helped out Orange Cassidy, been back amongst it ultimately, and he wasn't there for Will Ospreay when he was getting his arse kicked and getting blooded up, and he was definitely a little bit like, yeah, great, well, and Will's like, I love you, bruv, we're great, aren't we?
Yeah,
it's all good, it's all fine. It was in that promo, he was blatantly all about himself, right? I was thinking about this.
He can be a bit cold, Kenny Omega,
a bit aloof, but I want to just imagine that, and Ospreay's not going to care. He's kind of young, dumb, full of cum himself. He's not going to put it together could have done with you, Kenny. I was getting my ass kicked. And then, right next to this beatdown, you see this amazing video package of Omega Takeshita, here we go. And I think Ospreay wins in the cage on Sunday, and I think Omega loses to Takeshita. And the gap in the ability between the two of them. How has Omega even had a chance of beating Takeshita? Because he's tag teamed with Will Ospreay, because Will Ospreay has replaced him. And all of that feeds into the story of how we arrive back at Omega Ospreay 3. It's this idea of like, Kenny hasn't got it anymore, and he certainly hasn't got it on Ospreay's level. And that's the story you tell about the differences between the two. And then if Omega can get it done, then it's like restored Kenny Omega's brilliance in the ring.
You're not previewing this tomorrow, bro.
I'm sorry. I was too excited because
I think there's no way Omega loses on Sunday.
I'm with you.
I think he loses.
Oh, good. Triple up quits.
I don't know.
Well, were you with me or him?
No, Omega's winning.
Could be a tenner. Why? Why?
Because he's just come back.
Like, honestly, that belt means like we're all
going to unify it and make a big super belt dick face.
But like that, if we're talking about unifying it, does that not reveal that we don't give a about it?
Yeah, of course it does, but they're making plans to recover it.
All right. Look at us passionately fantasy booking your favourite TV show. You should be happy.
You're getting aggressive. I don't like that. I'll knock your spark out.
Yeah, it's a work, mate. You know, if Kenny loses, it's still good. Like,
yeah, but I'm just saying you're wrong and you're a grotesquely ugly freak.
That's a brass eye line. He's not that horrible to me in real life.
Speaking of which, Wheeler Yuta was in action next.
The day-to-day, sorry.
It's one of the very best lines. It's always stuck with me.
Day-to-day, isn't it? I wouldn't
Day-to-day.
I wouldn't have been able to sleep.
Cope versus Wheeler Yuta next.
It's not brass eye.
No, I think it's... you're wrong, and you're grotesque. He's definitely at a news desk, but he did use that in brass eye sometimes.
maybe.
He's outside. It's an exterior shot.
Is it?
I'm going to Google this while you talk.
All right.
Okay, I'll talk about Cope Wheeler Yuta. Even to start off with, but Yuta plays to the crowd.
All right, this is a good time to think about something else.
Cope sweeps the legs out on the apron, takes the control to go into a break. But Yuta's in control when we come back. He wastes too much bloody time. Cope cuts him off in the corner. But Yuta fights off a superplex and hits a diving splash for 2, tries for cattle mutilation, but Cope slips right out, gets him in a crossface. Yuta gets out of that into a pin. They're both up. Cope hits the impaler, wants the spear, but runs straight into a Busaiku knee for a near fall. Yuta puts him in cattle mutilation, but Cope powers up into a glam slam.
Brass eye, apparently. That's what Google's telling me.
I am wrong in a grotesque little freak.
They're both down. Yuta tries a lariat, but spins right into a spear from Cope for the 1, 2, 3. You want to do match and then post-match, or all together?
I think they're kind of related. I loved it, but are they related?
Post-match, Cope grabs a mic, helps Yuta up, and shakes his hand, saying, "This is what respect feels like." Yuta's left to ponder what's going on here as Mox marches in from the crowd, yells, screams at Yuta, paintbrushes him a bit. The crowd chant for Yuta, who shoves Moxley in the face and walks off. And Moxley's yelling after him whilst he walks back through the bit. He's like, "Keep walking." But then he turns to the camera and says, "Congratulations, Cope. You've got me all by myself now. Now I'm just a sheep on my own or something. You think you can just pick me off? Yes, you've rattled me. Yes, you've gotten to me. But what are you going to do to me at Revolution on Sunday? Nothing. Rated R superstar. You deserve your ass beat, Cope. And it's going to make me feel good when I do it. There's no respect in this business. Never has been, boy. You get respect when you can pull the trigger on someone. You pulled the trigger on me 1, 2, 3 times. All I got to do is pull it once on Sunday. Pow.
Just saying stuff, isn't he?
Yeah.
Like,
He just says stuff.
I want to praise so much this, and I was just like, out of the way, you. Moxley, of all people.
Yeah.
Out of the way, you. Because he's just saying stuff.
He's just saying stuff. Cope and Yuta, frankly, I was a little bit bored during a lot of it. I will say that the way that I liked the idea, the story, and the execution of the finish a lot. Cope, who is so cringeworthy when he says, "Kid, I'm sicker than I'm just as sick as you, Mox. Actually, no, I'm sicker. Like this, I hate it. This is all Spike.
Got the ghoulies.
You got the ghoulies. You got the nuts. You got the guts. Are you up to your nuts in guts?
Got the plums.
You're a degenerate.
You're a malcontent, Mox. Yeah, this is all familiar terrain. I'm not a big fan of Cope.
Malcontent, I've just remembered.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you.
Malcontent and Henry Mark.
Yes, very good. This finish, like, it's sometimes better when you show and don't tell and don't try to be hard. Like, you just try to be clever and intelligent and wily here. Like, you just instantly saw, he's going for his thing. I'm one step ahead. Like, I'm not fooled by that. I'm too clever. I'm too experienced. And just the footwork required of Cope to make that look not remotely, I don't know, higgledy-piggledy. like a bit, just like it was just so well timed. That spear counter for the win, and just this idea of, I know you can get a veteran's respect without them being a total dickhead to you. You know, like you can do this. This is what respect looks like. I'm not beating you up. I'm not forcing you into making horrible decisions. I'm just saying you had a good effort there, and there you go. And like, it's a mind game from Cole, but a good one, an effective one. Like Wheeler Yuta's face of like, am I getting abused? I thought it was just strong stuff, and then it could actually add a different emotional texture to this match that I have actually zero emotional investment in on Sunday. Of like, I'm going to be watching Wheeler Yuta. At first, I was just going to be like, watching that match and
Senator.
Yeah, just without like, all right, moves or whatever. Watch. They're hitting each other quite hard. Oh god, Edge is like got saliva caked in his beard. Goody, whoopee. But
wish
now
I was Cope's beard.
Yeah. But now I'm like, the hell's that Yuta cat doing? It's a bit of they built it.
Yeah, I love this, and at the last minute, to Sidge's point, I've actually got investment in this match all of a sudden. I felt it from them, like within the first couple of minutes of the match, I was being instructed to lean in because this is what Cope's doing with Wheeler Yuta, completely subverting all of our expectations that he was just going to try and concerto him and put him in an ambulance or whatever, because we know he can acquire them. And I love that. Like instantly, I just loved that for once in what feels like 6 months this story's been going on, they've actually surprised me. Fair play to you. It's like you found something that makes this interesting and you've done it at the last minute, but you've still done it. So I was really into the match from then on. And, we've all forgotten how much we actually quite liked Adam Copeland's TNT title run, because the idea of that was experience equals wisdom, and you can use your age to sort of show those. The character isn't that you're old. The character traits are that you've got experience and wisdom and smarts and all of that sort of stuff. And for him to just flush that away in this chase for like deathmatch acclaim against Moxley, hindsight has been so stupid, because you just could have told this story all along instead. Like, I've got years on you, mate, and do you know what that brings? Whether you like it or not, I can do this, and you don't think I can, and that's like you're revealing your naivety, because
I was the ultimate opportunist for years.
I always have this thing, right? When you're sort of 21, we're all in our 30s now, but when you're 21,
we're all in our 30s
or any age, but I remember like
good year, man.
2009.
You always forget you're a few years.
Makes me feel stressed. That's a bit young. But like 21, like some people it's 19, whatever. There's different ages where you feel like you figured it all out. And then you immediately advance to maybe 5 years on from that and you realise you knew nothing. You look back and you laugh at yourself. And that is a cycle that keeps repeating. And it stresses me out at this point that even though we're all in our 30s, I'm kind of in the north end of the 30s. And I'm thinking, well, now I've definitely figured it out. And yet me in 10 years is going to laugh at me now. And I hate that. I hate that, like, you always think you figured it out and then you get a little bit older and a little bit wiser. This Moxley world champion character, thinking that he's figured all of it out. He's the hardest, the strongest, the meanest, the whatever. If all funniest. Along...
What?
Don't forget funniest.
Yeah. Moxley. If all along Cope had just done the, now, mate, thing, it would have been so much better than this deathmatch route thing that's Spike, and he ain't got the plums, all of it. Waste of time. This was the route to go, and they've done it at the very last minute. And I even love... I really like all Elite Wrestling, lads. Like, I love that, like, Yuta this week of all weeks was established as the guy that might not help, because I think he will, but they've dropped this, later on, this red herring with Jay White kind of telling you, I'm turning, guys. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe Yuta is still on Moxley's side, and Jay White's the guy to offset Yuta, and that's how a new Death Rider is revealed or something. They're giving you so many options and avenues of ways this match could go versus... Mox or Christian Cash. Those were the two we were stuck with.
WrestleMania 36, Edge versus Orton 2.
Yeah. And now, like, avenues of opportunity, different characters that actually matter. Sidge's point, who are you looking at? Like, when you're not necessarily watching the match, if it does drag a bit, like, who's zooming who? Yeah. Like, what are you looking at? Really, really terrific bit of business to get this on track at the last minute.
I had that thing as well when, in a similar vein to what you're saying, like you look back at your old writing and think, you young fool, how pretentious, you know? I had to look for something I'd written in 2023 just to remind me of something for something I'm working on now, and I wrote that in 2023. I thought I was the switched on guy who wasn't trying too hard to get a turn of phrase in there.
Yeah.
In 2023, I thought I'd matured as a writer. And I'm in 2027, God willing, I'm still here. I'm going to look at this. I'm thinking what I'm writing now is good stuff.
It's stressful to think that way.
I hate it.
You have to, at some point, as an adult, come to terms with the idea of like, oh yeah, I've completed the game. / I'm constantly completing the game. And that's a nice way to live until you reflect back on when you hadn't completed the game at all. And then you're like, you loser. And it's like, oh, is that all it is then? It's just a life of being a loser and not realizing you are one.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
Waste of time.
We get an awesome, speaking of looking back, music video by the Outrunners training to win the tag titles at Revolution.
so glad they've done this.
Yeah.
So glad they've done it. Sid was with me when he was like, I was like, oh, is that not a collision match? No, mate, it's the pip. What? And then they've pivoted. I'm with this pivot so much. Right move. Better for the show, better for the card, better for the Hurt Syndicate.
I just want 6 minutes of stupid, dumb, rubbish. Like, just dumb. You shouldn't be doing that to someone that size. I'm not sure about this at all. Well, I mean, the video enchanted me. Of course it did. You know, if it's in that aspect ratio and it's got that color, it's got that filter. Yeah, of course it's gonna get me. You know,
I love the contrast between these two and like the very serious business of the Hurt Syndicate kicking ass. Like, it's good stuff.
So MJF is still on the streets of Sacramento. Renee's like, what are you trying to do here? And MJF says, I knew Hangman would never show. He's a gutless coward, and he's going to show Page he's not the main character on Sunday. But then we see Hangman Page flooring it towards them. Renee and MJF have to dive out of the way, or he stops beforehand. But yeah, there's intent there for vehicular manslaughter at least. But Page gets out, charges after MJF, chases him into the building, and then he attacks, sorry for the audio listeners, MJF, and throws him into the barricade, but it's revealed to be just some guy who's like been paid off by MJF to do this, and obviously the real MJF
decoy
attacks him from behind. Page tries for the buckshot lariat, but MJF is wise to it. He knows the perfect counter. Kick him in the bollocks. Hits him with a heat seeker. Takes his
timed brilliantly, by the way.
Yeah. Takes his shirt off to reveal an MJF did nothing wrong shirt.
And I mean, folks, where's the lie?
Security tried to get involved. MJF obviously kills all them. Page is recovered, though. Page takes him down. They sort of fight back to their feet. Because MJF had put on the beautiful diamond ring to clobber him with it before that. But he does nail him with it. And MJF grabs a microphone. He's like, you guys love when Page burns things, right? Let's see how you hypocrites feel when I do it.
It's got Frank Grimes. It's Frank Grimes.
I'm Hangman Page.
I'm Hangman Adam Page.
Gets some lighter fluids, sprays it on Page, goes to chuck a lighter on him, but security just save him at the last second. They tackle MJF and carry him out whilst he's yelling, let me prove my point. Everyone's a hypocrite.
Right. I was a bit... I had to learn to love this one. Like the idea of like the guy dressed as MJF. I had horrible flashbacks. Remember that time? I think it was during the Swerve Lashley feud.
When there was some guy wearing a big
guy
coat.
who happened to be in a Swerve coat. I mean, how convenient. That of all places and in all clothes, that gentleman would just be in I mean, it was just stupid.
Happened to Cody and Kevin Owens, didn't it? Like booking different people that could somehow mysteriously have like the KO shirt on, or like, hey, KO, and it's just a completely different person. Yeah. And Cody just decks him blindly.
Did that actually happen or not?
There was a 1 week where he beat up a guy. Because he said on site, didn't he?
Yes.
There was that 1 week where he beat up a guy. So then it became like, I mean, realistically, how many Kevin Owenses can there be in the building?
Yeah. So I thought that it was revealed, it's a decoy. It is a ruse. It's a plan. So, okay. Back on this. And then you think, right, I always think one of the towering achievements in AEW history and indeed wrestling history is Anarchy in the Arena, just brackets, general. That Eddie Kingston, he's gonna kill Chris Jericho, I think. How on earth do you...
The GTA loading screen.
Yeah. How do you make me think, oh, Christ, he's going to set someone on fire? An unbelievable bit of character work, like for years and years, to like one of the most deeply committed, believable, soulful wrestlers. Earned him that moment, his performance, and how it was just great. It was great. So now I've seen, Darby Allin threaten to do it.
Did it?
Did it?
Did it, but then I didn't think he was going to do it again at Blood and Guts. You know, it's a feeling. It's a feeling. So I saw MJF do this, and I was like, great callback. I don't believe he's going to do it. And then I thought, you know what? This character is so thin-skinned, and so he's got this inveterate need to be loved, liked, acclaimed, accepted, to the point where he will casually wrestle Will Ospreay for an hour, even though it's not the thing that MJF is best at, or you could argue should be doing, just to prove that he can and get people to like him for it, you know? And I thought, you know what? MJF, 95% is intent of how brilliant he is. 5% you can sort of think, even if he doesn't intend this, it still rings true to the character. So I thought, you know, if he got, you know, a quarter hour for explaining why did he incinerate Hangman Page, I'll do it. You know what I mean? I'll do that. Like, you like him more than you like me. Off, I'll do that. So I was like, no, I do believe that. I do believe that. Part of it's, like, most of it's absolutely brilliant character work, how he's played this young, bullied kid wearing an adult suit for, like, his entire career, realistically. So I do believe it. But then that 5% of, I'll wrestle Will Ospreay for an hour. Of course I can. Go on. So it works on both levels. And his getting carried out, I wish I didn't immediately spring to my mind, and I'm upset with myself, looking like low key. You know, the CCW show. But MJF, like, just like, let me make my point. Let me make my point. Like, he showed so much ass.
Yeah.
I've come to like this a lot.
I absolutely love this. Again, it's rooted in how much I want, again, to love the MJF character and just buy into all of its lore. And not necessarily forget the little wonky paths it's taken creatively, but ultimately live in the world. Again, I keep saying it, like, live in the world of AEW that I always liked, which was this MJF character that was, like, so great. And then it was fleshed out with
Joffrey.
Punk. Yeah. And then it was fleshed out with Punk and got even better. And that was ultimately what opened the door for the babyface turn. So I think that was, a lot of people like took a dump on that babyface turn, but I think it was always there, being built in the background.
I'll admire him forever for babyface and heel turns. This is a tangent, I'm sorry, but babyface and heel turns are like, all right, okay, you've done this, whatever. Like, MJF has taken more care than most. It's like inherently a stupid device that only dumb wrestling does. Like, I'm turned baddie, and it's usually because I've gone stale, I kind of have to turn heel. You know, it's not like some really rich character motivation or any kind of, like, deep approach to it in terms of writing or whatever. MJF really tried. It made me sad when it didn't really work out, and it didn't.
Because he definitely put the work in.
He put so much work into it.
Like, and now he's back here, and even more indignant as a heel with everything that's happened to him in the last 5 years. I love the flawed escalation and comparison here. That, like, him doing this whole deal of saying, like, what am I doing wrong when this guy's just as bad as me? Like, Hangman Page burnt a man's house down because that man hovered over his innocent infant having broken into his house, right? MJF tried to burn the man down because, like, the man's in a feud with him. This MJF just thinks they're the same.
Yeah, and he gossed on him already.
He
killed his mate.
Yeah. Like,
done all of it, basically.
He's done easily.
All Hangman Page has said is, I'm real.
Yeah.
Not.
He's done easily the real amount of retribution that is required for this.
They just like him more, and he can't handle it.
And yet, to him, this is the same as, like, hovering over the cop. Like, that's in his mind. Well, it's the same. So I'm definitely, like, burning down a man is worse than burning down a house.
Yes.
Like,
It's a very real thing. If you look, you know, in the wider world, without going too political, the certain people's desperation to be liked yields horrific results.
Yeah.
It really does.
And I love those two things. And again, I go back to the tree. Like, it's all, at this point, it is Hangman and Swerve informs all of this, and MJF believing how far he can push it. To be like, the rules have changed, have they? We're not burning down people anymore. Is that I love that.
Well, following this, when they come back from a break, commentary's like, we're not going to show it again. We don't condone his actions. And instead, Lexi Nair is backstage with the writer and director of Queen of the Ring, who talks about the movie, Jim Ross, executive producer, Mildred Burke, obviously, and talks about one of the film stars, timeless Tony Storm. She jokes it's a real stretch playing a curvaceous vixen. But it was...
Get me in that room for final edit.
Look at that.
I'm going to need to see the director's cut.
Jim, thank you for joining us for your weekly assessment of what we've put in the can so far this week. Over to you, and I suppose now it's time for...
One makes KR nipples hard. Hey, KR Rampage. Pervy comment
of the week.
I remember that.
Yeah.
That was a bit when we used to cover Rampage, when Rampage used to exist. Jim Ross would just not get the memo of what year it was or how you should really go on in life. There's one where I think that bit started because it was the Bunny and Penelope Ford, and they were like briefly, like they were the tag team for a little while. Good fun act, you know. They were in that Rampage street fight. And it's not come out on Rampage, and like they're trying to play heel. They are trying to get the audience to not like their personalities, right? Jim Ross takes the opposite route. Bear in mind, they're trying to get the audience to not like their personalities and their actions and their vile behavior, yeah? Tony Schiavone goes, bad people. Like, look at what they've been doing. Look at the way they're going on. Bad people. It's Jim Ross. Not me. I kind of like it.
Not for me, I like it.
Like, what are you doing? Come on, I don't care if you fancy them, Jim.
Yeah. I didn't, yeah. It's funny.
Anyway, Tony continues. She's disappointed that her gratuitous nude scene's been deleted. And the director's like, it's meant to be PG-13. So anyway, chin up, tits out, and watch Queen of the Ring this weekend or whatever it is. And the match.
Great sell.
The match.
Don't you do ad reads for...
Well, if they pay us, I'll do it properly.
Oh, Jim, stump up.
The next
That's on
match
Friday, however.
was presented by Queen of the Ring. And, sorry, just checking my notes here. One women's match on the show. Earlier than usual, some might say. It was Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford versus Thunder Rosa and Chris Statlander. Early on, Ford hits a drop kick and tries to lick Thunder Rosa. Oh, sorry. I thought that was going to be the sound of a drop kick.
Well, it's that button, though, because...
I know, it's bloody play. I tell you what, it's bloody
No, it should be
playing
on
up
the
this
next
thing.
screen, though, because that's drop kicks.
Yeah, it's probably is. It's page 9, I think, mate. I think we just keep going one more. Bloody, it's not loaded.
Panel's crashed.
Yeah, it's crashed. It's crashed. It's
You're an exec
crashed.
producer on Queen of the Ring.
Slingshot elbow from Statlander. Megan Bayne comes in with a pump kick, though, and catches Rosa in midair, launches her onto the floor, onto Statlander. And Penelope Ford's like, good work. Megan Bayne's like, off you go as well. Chucks her onto
Love
them.
that.
Yeah. Take us to break. When we come back, there's a hot tag to Statlander, who flies in with a drop kick. Still not working. Ford tries for a handspring elbow in the corner, but accidentally hits her own partner. There's a boot and a spinning Michinoku driver from Chris. Rosa
Dropkick Thirsties rather than the Dropkick Murphys.
If you like. Yeah.
Rosa
Anything.
launched herself. Rosa launched herself off Statlander's back and hit a dropkick on Ford. There's a double
What?
team.
What?
Drop kick.
There's a button for that, then.
Still not working. Double team scissor kick. Rosa hit a drop kick through the ropes to the outside.
Sound
Ford,
like me doing one of these recaps.
Ford posed.
Lock in.
Rosa dragged her into the ring and licked her in the face.
Oh my God.
I thought the dropkick button was working.
For licking the face.
No, I just wanted to see if it was from earlier. I was
okay,
trying to catch up.
got you.
Lariat. Ford backs Rosa into the corner. Bayne tags in, though. And, yeah, the Statlander's been completely taken out, by the way, by the spot on the top rope. I just completely glossed over that. Rosa tries to fight off both of them. Hits a stunner on Bayne, but Ford escapes and sends Rosa into Megan Bayne, who hits a huge F5 for the 1-2-3.
Oh, the arrangement of this was really bloody good, and Megan Bayne came off like a star. It's been a mixed start, very uneven, the Megan Bayne. I didn't like the introduction. She should have just had a squash win, as we talked about at the time. Her coming out and doing the big entrance. It's a do-or-die gauntlet. It was just wrong. She has a decent debut. showing off her power spots. Then she's involved in that catastrophe of an angle last week. And then this, she came off as this star. She had that really fun back and forth with Statlander. Here, she came off as someone who has got... It's weird to buy in when you're 39 years old. We're all in our 30s.
All in the 30s for the time being.
But when you get like a new wrestler who you're sort of like tentatively interested in watching and want to track and all the rest of it, and who impresses you, like, oh, she's got superhuman strength. So,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's just like,
Great.
it's fun how this works. And I thought she did a really good job. There was a really good sequence here where Penelope Ford did a flips into the corner and kicked Megan Bain by accident. I thought they timed that beautifully to the point where I like it when a wrestling match just like every little beat goes click, 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 and you start getting absolutely swept up in it. This match had an element of that. Without being this great match. But I thought it was a good bit of business for the story it was telling, for the characters it was trying to profile. Nothing great, but it's all good stuff.
It was all good stuff. I love big little teams where the big throws the little, especially when it's not necessarily when the little is expecting it, and it's this idea that they're developing chemistry.
What are you doing, Megan?
Yeah, like...
It's just like, I'm the star of this act. You are mine to just throw around.
And if they're a team, it's worked once now, so they can build it into their arsenal. But this first one felt like a genuine surprise. Like, they play, you don't see that too often. It's almost like we've been working on something in the back. How do you work on throwing somebody? You kind of just going to have to try it.
I think it was just a bit of disdain.
But, like, I think it's a pretty cool thing to keep.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
I buy their chemistry straight away. And all of this, you have to remember, built off the back of that total Turcarino segment the other week.
Yeah.
We've recovered it in, like, a really enjoyable little match. Again, customer satisfaction in the building, because I don't think the booking feels particularly strong around any of these right now.
Yeah.
But the audience will go away really happy with it. So, a success.
As I said, though, Sige, that was the only women's match on this show, which means before we get to the name of the game, we have to get to the aim of the game.
The aim of the game is to identify to the hour, minute, and second the first time you hear the first note for the first entrance theme for the first woman to come out and wrestle for the only women's match on Dynamite. The idea being, if we can nail this to the hour, minute, and second, yeah, it starts to really expose this pretty toxic and limiting, self-imposed pattern that has stunted the growth of AEW's women's division since time immemorial. Okay? Because it usually falls in that 120 to 125 range, more often than not, anyway, statistically. And am I too cynical? Or is the idea here, hang on, if we just, this is a production meeting, okay? Ambient noises from a production meeting, okay? Ooh, let's be the bzzz, fly on the wall here. Buzz. Hey, I got an idea. I don't know why Bob Holly's from Warner, but congratulations on the new job. Hey, I got an idea. And what is it? Stick the broads on before the main event. Why is that? Well, let me tell you something about psychology. If you put the broads on before the main event, they're thinking, I've already waited this long. I'll put up with some goddamn women. I don't want to put up with women. I want to watch Chris Statlander get a push. I want Willow Nightingale to remember that she freaking wrestles, you know? I want Momo Watanabe to wrestle and show the broader AEW fandom what she can do and what it finishes before Collision, which no one's going to watch. You know, this is a joke. I want to see more of it. But I think they do genuinely, habitually put the women in this spot for that exact reason. That's my read on it. And I'm entitled to that opinion. And you're thinking, Jesus Christ, Sidgwick, wrap this one up. It's even longer than usual. You brought in the fly bit. And it's like, I know, I have.
That's sticking around.
I have bzzz into the old fly in the wall of that production meeting.
Dolphins flying.
Yeah. But, you know, jingle-ize it, Sidgwick. You jingle-ize it for me.
Why won't the guy on the WhatCulture podcast jingle-ize
I was
it?
going to say, it's LeGreca asking you to jingle-ize it.
Jingle-ize it, Sidgwick. Jingle-ize it. Okay.
Can you jingle-ize it as LeGreca?
Don't worry, guys. No, don't worry, guys. When the women come out to play, the main event ain't too far away. So that's the aim of the game.
Oh, yeah.
And the name of the game is. Well, it's this lady's night, and I'm thinking, oh, what a night that. I'm sorry to my children.
Thanks, as always, to the Panda Blair himself, Adam Blair, at Adam Wilton 4, and Jose de Palomares, at the Ho 11, the guys who always take care of the
data.
Thank you for this sort of thing. I don't need you to remind me of the times from yesterday because of your cynical strategy from the two of you regarding when you thought this match was going to take place. I, of course, did my traditional 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, as seen on last week's Dynamite in the crowd. Thank you again for whoever had that sign. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 for Michael Hamflett, correct?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 7 for Michael Sidgwick.
If I had just done 1, 2, 3, 4, 4,
yeah,
then I would have won.
How does he keep getting away with this?
and the Panda Blair revealing the time was 1, 2, 1, 1, 3.
Like a friggin' honky tonk man of ladies' night, isn't he? Like, he's just going to keep running and running. He's someone to go and kill him.
I like the fact that the Panda Blair as well is now adding the match time as well.
Yes.
9 minutes 55 seconds for
Hey,
this one.
it's a long one for them.
But yes, as I yet again correctly called, it's another win for me.
You're joking. Not another one?
Match time. 2 more women, 1 more minute.
Which takes me to 4 correct guesses in the year. 1 for you, Hamflett. 0 for you so far, Sidge. Still plenty to play for, though.
Patronise us.
I mean, it's March.
Yeah?
Got a little trick for next week.
I'm sure you two do.
Keeping up the old sleeves still then.
We go backstage, and there's Mercedes.
Money.
Sacramento! She says, say hello to your CEO. I've already beaten Mel, but she's legit. She has been some of the best in the world to get this chance. Yeah, there's no stopping. I just remember because
The hell was that?
It's because she was asking Renee questions. You know what? There's no stopping the money train. Momo's facing Serena Deeb on Collision. Serena's the woman of 1,000 hells. She's going to break Momo for me. Revolution's going to be a walk in the park. You know why, Renee? And
How do you do SmackDown?
Renee Paquette says, because there's a price to pay when you mess with Monet. She's like, no, you stupid slut. It's because Monet changes everything. So, it's Collision you get in the match, Sidge, that you wanted.
Okay, well, I'm not watching it, am I? Because I don't have to. I'm not reviewing it, am I?
It'll be dead after the papers, won't it? So
Exactly. I'm not being funny. Have you
And
seen
the
this-
justification that you quite rightly gave yesterday to introduce people to Momo's finish.
justify anything.
badly should have put this on Dynamite, shouldn't they?
Yeah, they should have, they should have.
Because the match would be good.
I know. I know.
That was a
The-
big mistake.
I'll tell you what, this, they know, it's like, these spoilers. Sorry to the colliders out there.
Oh, no.
It's like,
Tom's moment, I was still colliding.
him and Dax Harwood together in the phone booth. I'm telling you now, it's a bit of a, it's not exactly a must watch. I've seen the spoilers for Collision.
Also, I assume Momo wins. I haven't seen them, so that's not a spoiler.
I mean, can you imagine if she didn't?
But
But she
then-
get beat at the tape show, but maybe she
But
can
then,
win a belt.
why is Queen Amanata listening to Serena Deeb? Because she's the loser. Couldn't you pick anyone? I realise Serena Deeb is a great opponent for her, but just I'd like that story of like Queen Amanata's listening to Serena Deeb a little bit. That's why she got the win over Julia Hart on Glitch.
Hey, the best coaches weren't the best footballers, were they?
Good point.
Come on,
Joey
switch
J.
on.
Listen to a bottle about him. Not a great player. His dad apparently got sacked because
Eddie Howe was a lower league player.
he wanted to play him to replace an injured defender, and the owner of the club was like, "You play him, I'm sacking you." Jesus, mate.
Eddie Howe was just a lower league footballer whose career was cut short by injury.
Who's the best one? Brian Clough.
Eddie Howe.
Wenger. Wenger's
Like
very
best-
good.
best of both,
Oh, best
I
I see. Yeah.
Oh, the best
Clough.
both.
Is that
Pep
considered that
surely
he's
is best.
was he a good player as well, was he?
Yeah.
Who?
Pep. Won loads with Barca, didn't he?
Ancelotti.
Ancelotti. The old eyebrow. Anyway,
Ancelotti or Pep. Probably Ancelotti for me.
Max Caster Open Challenge came next. We're running short on time, so I'll keep this brief. He says the Maximaniacs
Shouldn't have around so much at the start of the podcast, should you?
Who, me?
It's you every time.
It's never me. he says, tonight everyone wants to get on the same page, and he tries to get them to do a "Let's go, Max, you're the best wrestler alive" chant, which obviously doesn't work.
What a great bit this is.
Yeah.
Oh, I love all this.
He says, good effort, but we're not going to get it right on day one. But I now realise why this place is called Sacktown, because you're all blowbacks. Good stuff. Jay White answers the open challenge. Caster flips out, complains, goes to do his best wrestler alive chant thing with the certificate and just immediately walks into a Blade Runner. And White takes the microphone and says, at World's End, Cope joined the fight against the Death Riders and had my back. And I've had Cope's, and now Mox is all alone, and I'll be there to see the new AEW World Champion Cope. And everyone went, so you're betraying him then?
Yep, I wanted Kenny for this. A little bit of Kenny, but I understood why this happened. If nothing else, it's a nice little red herring, or they're foreshadowing something. I like a wrestler doing a role that serves as narrative glue for other developments. Max Caster is narrative glue, and he's really fun in a vacuum. Great, good booking. It's good booking.
Imagine when he gets his first win as well.
Against some little turd. Yeah, no, it should be good.
Big justice.
Maybe a big sadness pins Max. I same message. I love it when there's something that theoretically exists for nothing, but actually it's feeding into the main event of the pay-per-view.
Yeah.
It's really, really smart.
Yeah.
The Jay White thing's perfect for me because there's no bad outcome. He either turns heel and it's the end of friggin' Bill and Ted, or or he's
Bill
actually
and Tid.
Is it? Or he's
Bill and Tid.
babyface still, and again it's to take out Utah and create something else down the line.
We get the sit-down interview ahead of the Hollywood ending match on Sunday between Mariah May and Toni Storm for the world title, of course. Renee thanks them for agreeing to no physicality, and Mariah May spits on Toni Storm, who says, it's nice to know you.
Great.
Amazing.
Nice to know you still care. And Renee says, well, you started this by entering Tony's life. And May says, Storm survived her in Australia, but there's no surviving Revolution. She's the sickest bitch you've ever seen. Deep down inside, Storm knows that Mariah did it better. May said, this is what Storm always wanted, a trilogy with her favourite co-star. They can have the Hollywood ending they've always dreamed of. And Storm fired back saying May doesn't deserve the dignity of death. She sentences her to a lifetime of mediocrity. Her career will continue, but it's going to be good, never great. People will like but never love her. Her star will dwindle. She'll be replaced and forgotten. And someday someone will ask, whatever happened to Mariah May? And they'll learn she found out what happens when you try to kill God. And May throws the chair away and they get into each other's faces, and Renee says, I pray that neither of you get hurt. And they both simultaneously say, pray for her.
Renee Paquette was unbelievable here. I want to put her over in case I forget. The spit thing was just a great thing to do, even though they've done it with Hangman MJF. AEW was guilty of doing something good. That was great, do that again. That's my impression of Tony Khan, obviously. But it was just always works, and it was so vile. I loved Renee Paquette's disgust and revulsion and shock. The length of the beep was amazing here because it just felt like this thing where it'd gone completely awry like that. Mariah May's delivery was a little bit soap, like a little bit soap, as it sometimes is. Toni Storm's delivery, not amazing either, if I'm being honest, but her words were great. Of like, oh God, it is up to Mariah May now to not be that person and fall by the wayside. And it was kind of chilling to hear Toni Storm say, that's what could become of you if you don't level up after this. There's a bit of a meta touch to it that I liked a lot.
I loved this. Loved it, yeah. Renee Paquette. I thought everyone was great personally. I enjoyed Mariah May in this. I loved that at the very last minute when you kind of think, I don't think I need a third match. They've said all the right things to make this third match really, really meaningful, even if the result doesn't feel in doubt either. Mariah May feeling right within herself to say, look, whatever you were, like, it became whole when you had me. And that's true. The timeless Toni Storm character became a true babyface when she started showing support and love for Mariah May. And it was less about just this, like, the arrogance of being a film star. So that, what she was talking about is a reflection of what actually happened. Meanwhile, I picked up exactly what Sid did, the meta aspect of Toni Storm's words, while holding that AEW title in that like Ric Flair way. So the belt is constantly in your field of vision. She is making you think about all those women that had that one reign or that 5 minutes of fame with that AEW world title, and I mean, it's having a dig at AEW, but it's having your cake and eating it too, because yes, AEW failed ultimately and the wrestlers did too, to capture the magic of being like an all-timer with that belt. But it's kind of a graveyard, isn't it? That AEW women's title division. Thunder Rosa, Riho, Nyla Rose, like the list goes on. Where are they now? Like Toni Storm, the multiple-time champion, the true ace of this division, the one that holds that and continues to be a star with or without the title. She's telling Mariah May, you're about to enter the graveyard. Unless you've got something special for me, you're about to enter the graveyard like all the rest. And how do they kind of summarize it and pull it back into the story that the two of them told all along? They give you the Baby Jane catchphrase. At the bitter end, they finally give you it. And it's like, it's never, ever strayed too far away from like the cinematic overtones and what all of this was all about. And yet, at the same time, pulled in the reality. It's like, you know, when we were all, none of us are fans of it, but you know how kind we all were to like the early days of the Wyatt Six? Because it was it's tethered to reality, fair play. That's what this timeless Toni Storm character has ultimately done. She's tethered all of that, like over the top cinematic stuff to reality. I thought this was sublimely delivered. I don't know if the match can live up to the expectations.
Yeah, I've got misgivings about the match. Stay tuned tomorrow.
But I thought they nailed this. I loved it. Felt really dramatic and tense after the spit as well. A great tone setter for what they were going to do.
Main event time. Swerve and Brody King versus Kazuchika Okada and Ricochet.
I had a blast.
Early on, you just like...
He just doesn't like wrestling matches. This
Get in. who, me or him?
both he is.
It's me. I wanted to go there because I have way more to say about that interview in this match.
They, early on, you just like, let Swerve get his hands on
I've got the
Ricochet
job.
again. Early on, you just
It's
like,
all wrestling, Sid. It's all wrestling.
let's get Swerve getting his hands on Ricochet.
Rules are for the ball when they're not fiddling with their own.
Ricochet takes his time.
Like moves either. I like moves, me. There's a move in here that almost tore my dick off.
We've got to get through this at like 5 a.m. to watch this before we come into work. Like, I'll stick the whole show maybe on like 1.5 speed and I've become used to it. My brain's become acceptant of it. So she makes the time up by like fast forwarding like the entrances and I'm like, what the fuck are you playing on?
Yeah.
Like, what on earth are you thinking?
That's the best bit.
Like, you press that Seth Rollins button and Sid might be thinking, yep, that's still his theme. Like, no, they've been singing whoa for like 2 years. It's massive. Like,
What?
I know, yeah. Seth Rollins when he comes out, whoa, it's huge.
It's got a song that people like.
Yeah.
Is that why people
I know, mate.
seem to like excuse him?
Press play.
Make excuses for him.
Get this on 1.5 speed.
Even though he's a League One Kenny Omega.
League One.
The Sky Bet Osprey.
Like that.
Yeah.
Where are we? Oh, yeah. Ricochet's trying to come in, but he doesn't want to fight Swerve. But he takes so much of a faff getting in that
EFL Kenny.
Okada blindsides him. King's had enough and brawls with Okada on the outside. Strickland fires up on Ricochet, chucks him out, and King launches Strickland into Ricochet against the barricade. Okada tries to make the save, but kicks his partner and doesn't care. Swerve set both of them up, and King nailed them with a crossbody. King also picked up Okada and Ricochet on his shoulders, and Swerve hit a double swerve stomp off the apron. As back inside, Ricochet counters a flatliner in the code breaker midair to take us to a break. When we come back, Swerve makes a comeback, gets a hot tag to Brody King, chucks Ricochet around like an empty tracksuit, in the words of our brilliant producer. King also chops Ricochet and then licks his hand and chops him on the head on the bit where he's been stabbed, I'm fairly certain. There's a senton stack with Okada involved in it as well. Okada ducked a charge. There's an enziguri on the apron from Ricochet, which allows Okada to hit a frog splash for 2. Goes up top for his elbow, but King gets his feet up and takes him down with a lariat. They're both down. Ricochet and Swerve tag in, and Ricochet's like, oh, no, I didn't mean to do this, actually. He tries to run away. No Okada, so he gets his ass handed to him. But he floats over a powerbomb into a DDT for a nice near fall. Swerve hits his rolling flatline and a house call. But after he hits the swerve stomp, 1-2, Okada breaks it up with a top rope elbow. Okada and King get into it until King dodged a Rainmaker and dropped Okada, but missed the corner cannonball. Okada grabs the Continental title belt, but Swerve flew in with a house call before he could use it. And as King as Okada tumble to the floor and the refs making sure they're out of there, Ricochet, of course, grabs the belt, twats Swerve with it, and steals a win yet again, 1, 2, 3 to close out this show.
This is so much fun. I just loved Okada. Mileage varies. Like, I just think he's funny. And I'm so miserable, usually, that when someone pops me, I'm like, I'm going to like him. Just them two stooging idiot dickheads sat on top of each other on the chair while a big, cool, badass Brody Lee just kills them both. Brody King, kills them both at the same time. His, like, barricade senton thing, it's never not the most wild thing you've ever seen. He just goes... bang, and then he just flies off them as soon as he's hit them. It must suck to take.
Yes.
It's amazing. Like Ricochet doing the gritty. Yes, just do that all the time now. Even like years after you stop feuding with Swerve and it doesn't make any sense in context, keep doing that. This is just a really witty, funny, and at times like pretty dramatic match in terms of who's going to win and all the rest of it. Because it ultimately didn't matter who won, but I still had a load of fun with it. Ricochet does a bump in this match. He's like the accepted thing of consensus of Ricochet, and I said that I nailed the first part, didn't get the second. His good matches aren't going to be as good as Will Ospreay and Takeshita's best and Hangman's best matches, so what we doing here, really? That came to pass, and then he's just turned it around and become this like, Ricochet, yeah, not what he was in the ring, but he's a great character guy. What? But last night on Dynamite, some of his stuff just looked the business. He looks like he's really sort of finding the groove of the heel character and building the work around it, and the execution of some of it was insane. Did you see his bump for the flatliner?
Yeah.
How? I'm not being funny. Like, how's he done that?
Yeah.
Without breaking his neck? He takes the bump, and it's like the scorpion bump that, Pac can do really well with the DDT, and like a lot of wrestlers can't do it. Like Ospreay and Fletcher were doing it at Grand Slam. I don't know how you move your necks like that. It's unbelievable. I love it every time. This Ricochet one, though, was like, how the hell have you actually physically done that? And his
flexibility is insane.
It's insane.
Like,
it's absolutely insane. I think he's really rediscovering himself. I'm really hyped for that match on Sunday. This did the job of doing that. That glimpse you saw was incredible. Okada and Ricochet just being thick idiots together and getting their asses kicked was just a lot of fun. Hamflett, you hated it.
No, I really like this. I just like all like flippancy aside about just wrestling. Like, especially from when Swerve got the hot tag, that's the proper stuff. The proper pre-pay-per-view, right, here we go, getting my hands on you. It's not about how do you keep them apart before the show. It's about, now we fight for a living, and now we're going to fight. And pretty much everything after that, like, I'd take that at the end of every single go-home wrestling TV show ever, because it's the most excited you're allowed to get before the thing you're supposed to pay for. So yeah, and witty is a good choice of words for this in particular, because I think like this is the sort of match that with the wrong wrestlers sort of inadvertently falls into that trap of being like, well, I've got the best holds. And I think you find I do. It's like, no, they were far more interested in letting the characters do the talking here than the actual moves. Yeah. And I was grateful for that. I don't care about Brody and Okada. I'm sorry, I don't. Like, the result is not in doubt. And I've seen a million good Brody King matches and a million good Okada matches, and they will surprise me and like impress me in spite of that on the night. It's not a match I'm interested in, but I wasn't interested in Okada Buddy either. And like that's kind of what these great wrestlers do. But Swerve and Ricochet, I'm all the way in on. Yeah. And I got all that I wanted to see here from that as well.
Well, let us know your thoughts on AEW Dynamite in the comment section below. And on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch, they can follow all three of us. You can follow Michael Hamflett at
Michael Hamflett.
Follow Michael Sidgwick at
M. Sidgwick.
Follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE. As I said, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcast from, for daily wrestling podcasts. But for now, this has been the Dynamite Review. My thanks to Hamflett, to Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.